I looked you up online and I looked up about your book, and it seems very exciting. Good
Thank you.
information. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you pronounce it Drasti or Dristy?
Dhrasti.
Dhrasti. Okay.
Yes.
Being a yoga teacher, we pick up on some Sanskrit words, and the word Dristi we use as like a focus point. Is that the same?
So Dhrasti is been interpreted in many ways. But what it really means is there is a phrase that the world is how you see it.
Okay.
So if I had to say that in Hindi or Sanskrit, it says Drasti and Srishti. Srishti means the world, the physical reality.
Okay.
And it will appear to you as you see it. So it's how you perceive it.
Okay.
And that's why I think the name came first when when I started writing the book. So the name was there, Dhrasti, the perception, and that's how I started, like how we seeing life and what is the reality and how where is the real us compared to the conditioned self.
Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of the Inspired Yogi. Today, I am with Pratiqk Jaani, and he's the author of a new book. I'll let him tell you about that. And welcome to the show, Prakti. I'm excited to have you today.
Thank you. I really appreciate Jim for having me at the show. The book Dhrasti means perception,
Okay.
and I learned things from my own journey, my own life. Coming from India, lived in UK for now 22 years.
Okay.
Studied accountancy, worked for other practices, and then started my own business. And the decisions which were really simple but took me years to make those decisions. The hurdles, the challenges with the work, with relationships, um, health. And in 2017, I was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and
With
that
what?
literally
Tuberculosis?
tuberculosis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, and that changed everything. So the things which are holding me to do what I wanted, I kind of realized that if I had to pass away in this illness, what would happen to those reasons, and nothing really mattered. So from that point, you know, I started breaking free from the fears which were holding me back. But then
See how that would
at
change your
this,
perception.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I learned that the limiting beliefs and the negative or risk-based beliefs are were holding me back. Like if I'm working as a job, I'm getting a set salary every month, so I don't have to worry about it. But if I had to have my own business, what if I don't get many clients? What if I can't pay my bills? These worries are always trapping you.
Yeah.
So I kind of broke free from it. Even in relationships, I didn't have my voice because if I said something which my partner wouldn't like, there will be conflict, and there'll be more. It will make it even worse than what I'm feeling. So it wasn't about the partner; it was about myself, how I perceived that relationship. So all these things started to kind of change, and my spiritual journey started at that time. Or I would say personal growth journey without labeling it spiritual, because I've been through like inner engineering of Sadhguru. I was
Oh,
initiated by
big
him in
fan of
London.
Sadhguru.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to his programs as
Then
well.
yeah, lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
Then I went. I read this book called Autobiography of a Yogi,
Yes.
and then I got initiated for
Paramahansa
Kriya
Yogananda.
Yoga. Yes, yes.
Yes.
And the things I read and I came across was fascinating, and I was practicing things to experience something, and I didn't know what was to experience. And then you put efforts for 6 months, and then you kind of withdraw from it because you can't feel any difference, right? Then I came across law of attraction and manifestations and affirmations and ho'oponopono techniques and everything on a YouTube. I've tried it all, right? And nothing seemed to be working at that time. And then one
When you
day,
say
so
when you say nothing was working
so
to change
yeah,
the
nothing was
tuberculosis, or what do you
working.
mean?
Nothing was working in a way. So I'll take my own experience. So the law of attraction says you need to think positive or think what you want, feel what you want, imagine what you want, and let go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But how do you let go in reality? Like nobody explains it, right? Like then
Hmm.
you forget about it. So I used to, I filled up like pages after pages writing down affirmations, right?
Yeah.
And visualizations. But the simple example is money, because all the listeners can relate to it, right? So if I wanted to manifest £1 million, for example,
Hmm.
I'm trying to visualize that I have £1 million. How do I feel? Because I never had £1 million.
Yeah.
How do I feel that I have that money? And what most of the teachings didn't teach is, if you cannot feel what it really does, it actually backfires on you, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. I think
Right?
that's where most people
And
fail with manifestation is they can't,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, they can't connect
And
with the feeling of already having it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I did some exercise. I watched some programs, how billionaires lead their life, right? And
Yeah.
I kind of understood that, but again, it's still words, and I still struggled a lot with it. But being a business consultant, I had so many clients. They are startups, and they also had their limiting beliefs, which they didn't know, and I couldn't name them or label them as these are limiting beliefs. And I was helping them. I was motivating them, because I've been through those restrictions when I was, when I started my business. So I used to give them positive, motivation, I would say. And they used to love it. And when they listen to me, they have a meeting with me for an hour, and then they go home and they're all excited and they make progress with what they do. And after a month, they say, Pratik, we need to see you again, because we need that boost again. Um, and then 4 years ago, I came across Rapid Transformational Therapy by Marissa Peers. And it was actually in Mind Valley, and I subscribed to Mind Valley.
Okay.
And I was listening to this pre-recorded thing on love. And I had, I shifted. It was guided. It wasn't aimed at me. It wasn't one-on-one session. It was pre-recorded, very generic script, but I was just following as she spoke, and something shifted in me, and I became completely different person when it came to love and relationships. And that really forced me to get qualified as a rapid transformational therapist. And luckily, Marissa was doing that in like months' time in London, so I did
Yeah.
that. And then I started hypnotizing people on anger, the self-worth, self-doubt, stress, fears, weight loss, etc.
Mhm.
And what
Can
I
you
learned,
back up for a second? I
sure,
saw, I'm glad you mentioned the RTT, the Rapid Transformational Therapy. Can you share more about that, what that is?
of course, of course. So rapid transformational therapy. So what I learned when I was hypnotizing people. So when we are born until the age we are 12 years old,
Hmm.
our mind is programmed. Okay. So whatever we learn, it comes from our parents, our family, our teachers, our surroundings.
Yeah.
And that really helps us form our identity. That makes us who we are. That makes us what is good. That makes us decide what the life is about. And because we're all learning, that's the really soul of the book. um, so if we grew up with scarcity, or we didn't get much attention from our parents as we wanted as a child, we grow up with self-doubt and lack of self-worth, and we try and improve ourselves by putting so much effort into every single relationship, even friends and colleagues at work, but we never get the same value and respect in return, because we operate from lack, right?
Yeah.
So what I used to do is I used to help clients removing those negative beliefs from their childhood, and reprogram their mind with positive affirmations and positive belief. That's the RTT. That's rapid transformation therapy. So
Okay.
if you are having anger issues, right? And I had 3 clients. I can give an example. So that particular client, when she was 5 years old, she was in her cot, and the parents were arguing about something, and one of the parent got angry, so the other parent surrendered, and things went that parent's way.
Hmm.
And it doesn't happen just once, right? It happens regularly. So this child learned that if something you want your way, the easiest way to get it is you need to be angry. So she learned it. So she used to get angry even when she's 30 years old, but she didn't know why she was getting angry. She would tell her conscious mind that she doesn't want to get angry anymore. But when the situation happens outside, it would come straight away, because RTT focuses on subconscious mind. So conscious mind is perceives the reality, experiences the outer world, right? But the actions always come from some subconscious mind. So because she had a reason to get angry in her subconscious level, no matter how many times she would, have a New Year resolution about anything, like not just anger, we are not able to go more than a week because the actions come from subconscious mind. So I was applying all these learnings in my life, and one day I had this realization that all our negative beliefs or negative emotions, those emotional experiences, are learned experiences.
Mhm.
What I've been doing is I'm replacing them with positive ones, but they are also learned experiences. So what is underneath? And that's the time I felt this true me, the feeling of wholeness, the feeling of completeness on which this conditioned self was experiencing the emotions. And in that state, I went to all my happy moments and I saw how this part, the true me, is feeling. And it was complete and it's not affected by what was happening out there. Then I went to the parts where I was sad and upset and worried and stressed. This part was untouched by those emotions. And that made me realize that when I was born, this was the state was always there. Wherever I was, whatever I was experiencing, this part has always been watching what is happening. But I somehow identified myself with the conditioned version of me and not this true self. And this conditioning self was teaching me that the completeness is somewhere externally. So whether it's money, whether it's people, whether it's love, I always chase them externally. But when I started living the same moments from my true self, which I discovered, there was nothing I could want because I was always full. It's like I'm the ocean. And if I receive 10 lakhs of, 10 lakhs liter of water in my ocean, it doesn't matter to me. If somebody takes away 10 lakhs liter water, it doesn't affect me because I'm still the ocean. And what it gave me, it didn't mean I went to Himalayas. It didn't mean I went my work and everything. What it meant is, I'll give a nice example how it felt. If before, like most people work 9 to 5 and they are stressed about the work and they want to relax, and they have a hobby. Some might play sports or some might play piano. So if you play piano for half an hour, you're not playing because you want something, but the act of engaging in playing piano gives you that joy because you want nothing in return. So from the moment I woke up and the moment I go to bed, every moment was like playing that piano because I didn't want anything out of it. What I started understanding and experiencing is, I'm living the life, but my true self is there, is whole, is complete, the abundance part, which all the law of attraction people were trying to teach,
Mhm.
which was there, that feeling. It wasn't about $10 million, it wasn't about $100 million, but it was about recognizing the true self operate from abundance. And what happens externally, I was experiencing it and I stopped labeling this is good and this is bad, this is happy, this is sad. No, they are just different experiences. And I could decode that if something used to make me angry before, I can tell how I was conditioned to experience the stress, how I was conditioned to experience the happiness, how I was conditioned to be excited. So everything you do becomes joy. And I taught this to a few of my friends and colleagues and clients, and they felt it.
Mhm.
And hence I'm like, what, I've been helping people to make money, save money, right? But that's not enough. This is something much deeper and I must do something. And one day I was meditating and the word came Dhrasti, and I'm like, I must write a book. And I think, if I be very honest, I didn't write this book. There was something in me couldn't stop me from writing the book. It was just coming, it was just coming. And
Mhm.
when I started writing, I didn't know what was the end going to be. It just came. And
Wow.
I'm grateful, that I experienced these, and it became my life purpose. That I'm 40 now, as we speak.
Okay.
And for my remaining life, how many years, days, months left, I would like to reach out to as many people as possible and make them experience their true self, so that the attachment from the external outcome goes away and every moment they live will be full of bliss.
I love that. I love that. Talk more about the true self. What do you consider to be the true self?
True self, I try not to put any labels of like spirituality or science or
Hmm.
therapy or neurology or anything like that. Uh, what I felt is that I'm a common person, who came from India, grew up in a village and a town, struggling the 9 to 5, and what I experienced and how the experience of life has changed for me. You do not have to be expert at anything, and you can still experience this because this is there within you, right? The the pre law of attraction knowledge I had, I was chasing fulfillment externally, right? But with the hard work, with ethics and study and work hard and give more. After learning about law of attraction, I learned that okay, you need to think positive and feel positive. But I was still chasing fulfillment externally, so my race was still there. So I couldn't feel the calmness. But now I am just living out of bliss. There is nothing can complete me any more than I'm already complete, and
Hmm.
there is nothing can make me feel lack, no matter what I were to give. Now if I define this spiritually, it's like you connect with the self, like in quantum mechanics they say there is a quantum field and the consciousness experiences different, from the individualized soul, they call it, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't want to label I have that realization or something. But what I do want to say, to keep it simple, is when I realize that part, and anyone can realize because it's there. It's there.
Hmm.
1 year old boy, if you tell him somebody passed away, and he's not going to react to it, right? And if the father walks in and say, "Hey son, I won $1 million lottery," he doesn't know what to. He hasn't been taught,
Yeah.
right? So he is happy with whatever he's doing. He's living out of joy, not because he doesn't have anything to worry. He hasn't learned there is something to worry, right?
Hmm.
So if he didn't learn that there is something to worry, we were not worried. So, and I also understand, and that's what I've explained in the book how it all came. It came from the scarcity mindset, and how the humans were evolved,
Hmm.
and safety and survival were an important aspect of life,
Oh, sure.
and hence we were always scared of survival. And the subconscious mind doesn't have time and space. So even though the world has changed more than 100 times since then, and we have all the facilities and safeties and security and food and everything is available, the subconscious doesn't know about that, and it still operates from that scarcity mindset. So yes, you can imagine that you have 10 million pounds in your bank and you've got a nice villa with swimming pool and you have a yacht and everything. But when you go out shopping the next hour, do you go where it's cheaper, or do you go where there is a sale or a discount?
Right.
That's where you're contradicting your state.
Yeah.
And if I go a bit deeper, and it will really simplify every practice I've been through, is the way I see it is, it kind of reconciles with the teachings of law of attraction, the quantum mechanics, and the spirituality. Is our five senses are like a thermometer, right? The
Hmm.
thermometer tells what's out there, what temperature is there, um, and the thermostat is what detects the temperature. So if it's cold inside and 17 degree, and if you set the thermostat to 24-degree, it'll really kickstart the boiler and make the room warm. And then the thermometer will say, oh yeah, now it's 26. Our five senses are the thermometer, but our nervous system, our subconscious element, which includes every single cell of our body, decides what reality these five senses are going to perceive. And that state of nervous system comes from our conditioning. So when you understand this conditioning, it's like you see a magic and you're thrilled, you're fascinated by such an amazing trick. But when you know how it's been done, it takes away the fun. So we are all tensed, we are worried about what's going to happen, the fear of being judged, fear of failure, fear of death. All these fears keep our nervous system so tight and stressed that we are not open to receive. It's like we make a fist, so we can't receive anything. We need to let go and relax. And how that comes is by understanding the magic, understanding the conditioning. When we understand conditioning, the stress will disappear, the worries will disappear, because there was nothing to get worried in the first place. It's we were taught to worry about something. And then, your system will be so relaxed, like no matter what happens outside, it cannot affect your internal state. That's how you really reset your internal system. The nervous system, or the thermostat, will then change your reality. You will attract the people who are, going to be part of your manifestation, your friends or contacts. Or you might end up changing the job, you might end up relocating yourself. Everything will start happening, but there is nothing to feel happy or sad about. It's just experience, and that is the bliss.
I got you. Yeah.
That's what this state makes you feel.
Yeah. Yes, I get that. To go back to your analogy or example of using finances. So you go out and you say, okay, I need a new car. I'm going to go look at a hybrid car today, and I want a brand that's, very reliable. And you look at the sticker price, and obviously your bank account's not affording that. How do
Hmm.
you process that?
So a very good question, and I like the real life questions, because it kind of helps me understand the question and where the conditioning of that is coming from. So I had this, and I wanted to buy a premium car,
Hmm.
and I worked. I saved money for 2 years, and I actually ended up getting that car. But after a month, the whole excitement of having that car just disappeared, right? Because
Hmm.
ultimately, what I was really looking for in that car is some sort of fulfillment, right? So it will
Okay.
complete. And that's why our target keeps changing. Now,
But
when
I want
you
to I want
go,
to pause you there because okay, I'm thinking of this for myself. I'm not going to get fulfillment for a car. It's more of a I would like this car because it meets the needs that of my job, of wanting good gas mileage. It just economically makes sense, and I want the reliability. So I'm not somebody that bases something on getting fulfilled out of getting a new car. I'm not an
of
object
course, of
person.
course, of course, of course. So there is a difference between, so if I were to buy a Rolls Royce, I don't have that money,
Hmm.
right? Or if I wanted to buy a hybrid car, and if I don't have that money, how do I feel about it? The law of attraction, or the reality creation, isn't about whether you have the money to purchase something or not. What
Hmm.
it is about, how you feel about it. So if I saw something which is more expensive, and I don't have the money,
Yeah.
there is no resistance, there is no sadness, there is no regret, like why can I not buy it. There is no negative emotion. It doesn't tighten my system,
Okay.
because I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter. I've got to travel, and if I can't get hybrid, I'll just get the petrol one, or I'll get something else. So I get a used car, because
Okay.
ultimately, what I really need is to go from A to B.
Yeah.
That internal system would change, because what happens is you have no expectations of getting anything. And I'll tell you my own journey about money. I've done the book launch, and I've been, reaching out to people, and all the
Hmm.
cost.
Yeah.
I don't know where I mean, I know where the money is coming from, but those sources are just coming randomly, like, because I do a lot of one-off tasks. So I do consulting, so they're not my retainer kind of set income every month.
Yeah.
So if I had a cost coming up for £10,000, and randomly somebody will come and say, can you do me this advice? And I'm like, okay, this is how much is going to be, and they just pay, and I just pay. So I'm not thinking money as money, which is a lot more valuable. It is something is coming as a source, and I'm passing it on. So you don't become attached to that money. So it isn't about whether you can afford and what to do in that situation. I think if it's more about what you tell yourself when you don't have enough money for that car.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So I'm understanding what you're saying. So it's not, and to recap that, so it's not like whether I can afford it or not, it's what I'm telling myself and how I feel about it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
energy
I
around it.
mean, absolutely, absolutely. Because a lot of things are conditioning. Like, a lot of things. I mean, I remember, this is a very, very It's more Indian thing. In India, 100 years ago, people used to use this one of the tree branches to brush their teeth,
Mm-hmm.
and they used to use ash powder to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
And the Colgate came and say you shouldn't be doing that and use that.
Put some
And
poison
after
in your
100
body.
years, yeah,
That's
and
some
after 100
microplastics.
years, exactly. And the funny thing was, after the charcoal, they call it, right? And now
Yeah.
Colgate says, here is your toothpaste with charcoal. And I'm like, 100 years ago, that's what we were using.
Yeah.
So it was conditioning, that like
Yeah.
the things I heard about is cereals. Like nobody used to eat cereals before, and
Right.
then suddenly there is a story about all the experts talking about the importance of breakfast and cereals, and somehow we buy into it,
Yeah.
and it just becomes part of the conditioning. So for me, a vehicle is, if you are using the same example you gave, um, why do you want something specific? If the purpose is from A to B, yes, you could have a car, yes, you could even have a public transport, or you can have a Uber. Now you already have one car which is working fine or it needs repairing. um, and because we are not attached to that outcome, I think what happens in reality is, when you are, I don't want to use the word when you're destined, because that would go into a very different tangent. But
Yeah.
the way I see, like, what I am supposed to experience or supposed to unfold as my reality, the situation will just take place. So you go to get this hybrid car, and somehow some project or something will come up which will enable you to have that car.
Mm.
But even if it would only happen when, whether you had that car or didn't have that car, it didn't matter to you. Like, you're the ocean. So
Yeah.
whether you have extra liters of water or not, you're still the ocean. So if you're able to maintain your inner state, because as soon as you want something, there is a lack.
Mm-hmm.
So you had money, you went out, and when you are detached from it, you're literally drawn to the place where you won't have to even think of getting or feeling that you don't have enough money to buy the hybrid car. But what I meant is, feeling the abundance when I was explaining that is, people go to restaurants and, they will say, okay, this is expensive, or I should go over there. And because the only time you want to save something is because when you don't have enough, is what you tell yourself. So the purpose is to not feel that. So either you just stay home and say, okay, I'm going to have organic homemade food. Or if I'm going out, then, I tell people, if you give 10% tip, give 30% tip. And it doesn't cost you £1,000,000, right?
Right.
But that way, you're training every single cell of your body, your nervous system, that there is abundance of money. But again, when you work on law of attraction, I think 80% thing worked on the conscious mind. And conscious mind understands things with logic, but subconscious mind only understands emotions. It only captures the emotional imprint of those external events. And that's where the Dhrasti book and the Dhrasti method, which is the 3-day experience, which actually takes people to experience how they were conditioned, and how they can see themselves, how they can find that state within them and realize. So every method I learned, I had homework to do, like, do 3 times a day meditation with empty stomach, or you do this much to achieve something. Whereas this method doesn't want you to achieve anything. You need to realize what is in there.
Yeah.
And it happens in those 3 days. And what happens is, when you feel anger, that inner system will automatically turn on without you remembering it, because you've seen your true self, and like, okay, why this anger came. And then you realize, okay, this is how I was conditioned to react as a coping mechanism. And you won't be angry anymore. And as the time go by, this system, they will trigger more and more. So over time, you will start feeling the bliss, that calmness is, and it all happens automatic.
Okay. Now, is the book include that 3-day practice, or is it a build up to the practice?
No, no. So the book has understanding of where we are now and how it all started and how the life will become when we operate from the real me.
Okay.
And it has 30-day practice. So the 30-day practice isn't really homework, but it's, you can do anytime, anywhere, and think the times you were very happy, the times when you were angry, the times you were upset, and trying to see how you learned this.
Mm.
And over time you will do that. And 90% people, I feel, if they connect with the book, because the book is more conversation to yourself, it's not a story, it's not my experience, it's I'm talking to myself. And you will realize a lot of things like, oh yeah, this is true. And those questions which everyone has it, but we don't be aware of those questions. Like if somebody says, oh, you got to do this, and we do it, there is a question like, why do I have to do that way? But we never ask those questions, we are not aware of those questions. So the book answers those questions, and 90% of people can feel the difference in the way they were experiencing life by just reading the book. But if there are someone, I mean, I didn't have planned for this 3 day in-person experience, but I had 30 beta readers, and they read the book, and they all came back with saying this, something shifted in them.
Okay.
And they said, like, what is after this? Like, there has to be something which can go a bit more deeper from in experiential level. And that's how then I designed, using my rapid transformational therapy, my all the techniques I've been through. So I would like to correct, I wouldn't say correct, but just add something to it, that every single practice which at that time I felt didn't work, they were the building blocks, they were the steps for me to realize what I realized. So if I hadn't done one of the practice, I may not have realized it. So it was all important for me. It was a process which I went through in searching the answers.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now you're using a lot of affirmations. Are you using ask formations? Are you familiar with ask formations?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay, like so you say an affirmation, like let's say I am wealthy. Okay, that's an
Hmm.
affirmation. Now, part of your subconscious, when you go to the store, like you're saying, or some of these different examples that your subconscious is going, yeah, you're not wealthy. But
Hmm.
if you use an ask formation and say, why am I so wealthy? Why am I so
Hmm.
wealthy? Then your subconscious mind is looking for the reasons why you are wealthy. So it's starting to reprogram, rewire those your nervous system to find the
Yes.
reasons why you're so wealthy instead of just
Yes.
fighting the
Yes. Yes.
affirmation.
I remember now. I mentioned about Mind Valley before. I think Vishen
Yes.
had one of the video where it wasn't about this particular example, but
Okay.
I saw on YouTube for about 30 minutes or something it was, and he says you need to confuse your subconscious mind so it cannot contradict. The inner voice cannot say anything, and it was
Yeah.
very interesting. And to be honest, that really helps, because then you're able to reprogram your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But and with all due respect to that, what I experience and realize is that, as I said earlier, that when we wanting something externally, that actually tells that we are not complete. When you feel this wholeness, then we ask ourselves question like, what defines wealth?
Mm-hmm.
What defines success? What
Yeah.
defines failure? Is it our definition or the world taught us?
Yeah. What
Now,
is
do we
enough?
have to agree? Exactly. So
Yeah.
it kind of takes us one step down. And when you understand that, and then when you say you are wealthy, the inner sound will not say anything,
Yeah.
because it's coming from within. And it literally just changes things so easily by just realizing. I'm sure you've heard of Ashtavakra Gita,
No, I don't
if
think
you've
so.
been through. And this realization which I had now, which is profound, and I actually live out of that realization every moment. 6 years ago I was listening to that, which was explained by Osho.
Okay.
And he was giving this example that this Ashtavakra guy, he had all his organ, like his arms and everything was not normal, they were like twisted.
Okay.
And he tells this king, when the king says, what should I look for, because I've got all the wealth in the world, and everything I need, all the luxury, and material success is there, but I still feel empty. What shall I do? And he just says that one line, that you don't need to get anything. Whatever you truly are, it's right there, is listening to what I'm saying, is listening to what is listening in your body. And I actually felt it in that moment. I was driving and I had to park my car, and when I realized it, I had tears in my eyes
Mm.
because I could feel that part in me. But then I got busy with other things, and it kind of, that feeling was forgotten. And then it took another 4 or 5 years for me to get there, and it came back so strong, so powerful. And I think the rapid transformational therapy really helped me, put words to those that experience. So I think the RTT played a really huge role
Mm-hmm.
in understanding, because I've been very logical. If I don't understand something logically, then I won't be able to accept something. So
Sure.
the whole, it's not completely Maya or illusion, but it's part of it. It's conditioning. So, we identify ourselves like, I'm Pratik, I am nice person, I'm vegetarian. But what makes me nice? What makes me kind? Who defined the kindness? Where were all these rules written or agreed? And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't aware of that. But I'm accepting it, that this is how it is, and everybody's doing that. So once you have this realization, if somebody comes to you angry, you know that it's not their anger, it's their programming making them angry. Because if I see them as their unconditioned self, there is no difference between me and that person. It's
Yeah.
like if you buy 50 new iPhones, brand new, white color or whatever, same color, they are all identical. And if you give it to 50 different users, they will all set it to their use, right? The different
Yeah.
screensavers, different apps, and everything. And then if you put those 50 iPhones together, they're all different because those phones are conditioned by the users. So
Yep.
if
For
you
sure.
remove the conditioning, they're still all the iPhones.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we are.
Yeah. It's like everybody's algorithm is a little bit different, based on,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. How
Yeah.
they
Very
how
cool.
they use it.
Are you familiar? I just got turned on to this recently. I did a podcast with a music artist named Cole Adams because I just stumbled on. I think the universe brought me to her, or brought her to me, actually, him to me, because Cole Adams is doing ask formation music in a frequency of 432 hertz or 417 hertz, depending on the music, which is a healing resonance to reprogram the subconscious mind through music, because it's one thing to just say an affirmation. Music's powerful and it hits us deeply. And then
Yes.
he turned me on to more music artists that are doing this work through music and affirmations and askformations. I thought it's powerful, and I love the use of all this music now to help reprogram the
Absolutely,
subconscious.
absolutely. And I mean, because I've been through so many things, I sometimes forget. Like when you mention music, I have been through a lot of sound healing. They've got
Yes,
these
yeah,
balls and they generate this music,
yeah, yeah,
and about the chakras and things, right? And it
sure,
was fascinating to first know how our body works, and there is astral body, and there are seven chakras, and all sorts of
yeah, yeah.
things.
Hmm.
And music has played a vital role. Like I know that there have been so many nights I've put those frequencies. They're on YouTube for 8 hours, right? And I put it in my ears, and I was doing it.
Yeah,
And see, ultimately, what RTT does is actually that. So, so if if you cannot hypnotize yourself, but if you do not know how to hypnotize, which is very simple, basically,
hmm,
um, then anything subconscious learns in two ways, right? If something comes from a person with authority, the subconscious mind accepts it. So if a doctor comes and says something, we tend to believe it. We don't. Our
uh,
conscious mind cannot.
so many people I know believe doctors. I hate that example because they're often so
Really?
wrong. Sorry. They
That's
just
all
tell
right.
you you need a
So
pill.
yeah, I mean, if your friend tells you that you shouldn't
Yeah,
do this,
yeah,
you might
yeah,
have cancer, you
yeah.
will resist that person because he's
Use
not a doctor.
Sadhguru. He's a better example.
Yeah, yeah, Satguru. If he comes and tells you something, you gotta believe it, right?
Yes, yes.
But the other way of training the subconscious is repetition.
Hmm.
So when you keep telling yourself something repeatedly,
Hmm.
then it starts believing that.
Yeah,
So it gets programmed.
yes.
And sound is a really good way because it's waves.
Hmm.
And we can play music, but what I've experienced in my journey is I used to chant mantra.
Yeah,
And it wasn't about a particular god or goddess or something, but it's those
hmm,
words I was chanting, the
yeah,
sound, the vibrations of that
yes,
shifted my energy, and I could
yeah,
feel the shift. So if we do not have time, see, there are a lot of solutions to change your programming, but according to our conditioning, we resonate with certain solutions. Or like, this is easy, I can do this. But
Mm.
certain solutions we might find difficult to adapt in our day-to-day life. So when I was so busy with my work, I think when I was sleeping and putting those headphones in and let the music go on for night, it was really convenient for me. So I did that. But then when my energy started to shift, somehow I managed to find 15 minutes to visualize because it was shifting my energy. So it is the process which takes you step by step, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but the more we detach ourselves from the outcome, the
Hmm.
sooner the law of attraction starts to take place. So the sooner you start manifesting the reality you want to experience.
Yeah.
And I found the shortest way of letting go or detach yourself was to realize your true self, which is the wholeness, the the abundant self of you.
Hmm.
And it's very interesting. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are so, I mean, 10 years ago there wasn't much out there on this subject, right? And now things are coming up so amazingly, like even from quantum mechanics point, like they
Yeah.
all talk about the same thing. When I had this realization, every single different practices I practiced, and now I know what they were trying to say, and I also can tell why I didn't experience what I didn't experience.
Yeah.
And they all were talking about exact same thing in different words. So whatever I resonated at the
Yeah.
time, I followed it,
Yeah.
and it was so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yes. That reminds. I used to hold yoga teacher trainings, and we were studying the Bhagavad Gita, and
Uh-huh.
we were almost through it, and one of the students in my class says, "Yeah, there's really nothing new here." I
Yeah.
said, "No, it's not new. You know, it's what you're talking about, getting a different perception of it,
Absolutely.
and changing your energy. It's so important to work on the energy because our bodies, our subconscious, our energy goes back into that rut, and it's hard to get it
Yes.
out of that rut and to change into a different energy and frequency and hold it.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes you can
Absolutely.
sustain it for a little
Absolutely.
bit, but it's that
Yes. Yes.
sustenance of that energy that makes the difference.
Absolutely. And when you realize why it's happening, because everyone tells me, like, Pratik, when I gave earlier that example, like after a month, the client says, Pratik, we need to meet you again. And that's because our body, our subconscious system likes familiarity.
Yes.
It hates uncertainty. It hates something new,
Hmm.
right? So even, we say like we would choose unknown pain, right? Versus unknown pleasure,
Hmm.
because we know how much this hurts and we can deal with it.
Yeah.
So we would rather stay there than potential pleasure,
Oh yeah. Fear of the unknown
because
is
we don't
powerful.
know that, so
Yeah.
it's unknown. So the fear of unknown, it's what is scaring our nervous system,
Hmm.
and hence our body. And that's why changing something, and I always tell people, if you keep doing 2 plus 2, you're always going to get 4. So if you want something which is not 4, then you got to change your equation, right?
Yeah.
And by doing this for 28 days, they say if you do something new for 28 days, it becomes your habit,
Right.
because it's part of your routine. And then it works.
Yeah.
But I think, I feel, and this is like sad but true, is the only time we are really devoted to change ourselves is when we are hurt, where we are in problems, when we are, feel helpless, where we
Hmm.
do not know what to do next.
That's when people
And I
start to pray.
feel, exactly,
Start praying
exactly.
all the time.
And absolutely. And I feel it's only that frequency can give you devotion. It's only, it's only the hungry is going to run and chase, for the food. If
Yeah.
somebody is full stomach, he's not going to walk a step to have something, because he's not hungry. So it's not, as I said, I don't label things this is good or bad. We just see what causes what, what makes us do what, and what is the
Yeah.
experience behind it. And
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah. And I think, that part of overcoming these changes is recognizing when we go back. So I'll give you an example. So I've been listening to this music, Why Am I So Happy? I'm doing music videos on it and posting them and stuff. But some mornings I wake up and I feel the old energy, you know?
Mhm.
So, but recognizing it, and then I'll put
Yes.
on the song, Why Am I So Happy, as I go take my dog for a walk. all of a sudden I'm, why am I so happy? Why am I so happy? And even if I'm not dancing and singing as I'm listening to it, I feel the energy shift and I feel that
Yeah,
energy change.
yeah,
So I feel the
yeah.
longer you sustain that energy, the more it holds with you because it's so easy and so habitual to fall into those old routines of energy, that's stuck in the rut kind of stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's not, it is coming through generations. These things is coming through
Yeah.
long time, not
Yeah.
just our birth. This energy vibrate, it's there. It's
Yes.
always been there,
Yeah.
and it's when you realize, it's like learning to ride a bicycle. The balancing the bicycle was just that one moment. But
Yeah.
some people, it might take a week, and for some it might take months. You fall down and you hurt your knees and all sorts of things. But the moment you learn it, you cannot fall again. You can't deliberately choose, like, I want to fall, but you don't know how to fall now. And before, you didn't know how to balance. So when you learn this energy and retaining that energy, you can't. But I feel, when you say that some days you wake up and you feel the old self, it's because our emotions are still stored. So
Mhm.
what the RTT, the Rapid Transformational Therapy, what it said is, when we have unexpressed emotions of pain or guilt or self-doubt, they over time start to take physical form and they turn into disease.
Mhm.
And I can relate to that with my tuberculosis. There were a lot of things I wanted to say it out loud or scream it out, and I couldn't, and it started taking some sort of form. And since I have these realization, I mean, I've been experiencing tears coming out of my ears or my eyes any moment, and I cannot tell why. And then I feel so much lighter, as I feel that the things which were holding somewhere, they're all releasing, and every day is actually even a lot better than yesterday. Like, I
Yeah.
feel this is the best moment, but tomorrow gets even better, a day after is even better. And it's just so beautiful. But it's really important, and it's really good sign where you recognize that, oh, today I'm feeling my old, because a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. That's the key is recognizing immediately when you slip back because then you got to pull yourself
Yes,
out right away. You can't
yes,
the
yes, yes.
recognition or the realization, the perception, right? The perception
Yeah,
when then you have to make that shift and get out of it because
absolutely,
you
absolutely,
build that habit, you build that positive,
absolutely,
you ride the
absolutely.
bike, like you said, you find your balance with it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once you learn the balance, then you can speed up, you can let go without, holding the steering,
Yes.
right? And I've
Someday
seen
I won't
young
need the
kids do a lot
music.
of stunts with the bike, and which I can't even imagine doing.
Yeah.
But that's that controlling their energy,
Yes.
controlling
Yes.
the balance.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's just like that.
Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience that you haven't covered so far?
Um, I think we've kind of discussed quite a lot.
Yeah.
The only thing I would like to share is, I've been a normal, ordinary human being on this earth, and chasing good work, good money,
Are
good
you
partner.
ordinary or are you extraordinary?
We are all the same. I mean, how do you define ordinary and how do we define extraordinary, right?
Self-perception.
So yeah, exactly, exactly. It's who taught me this is ordinary, Pratik, and this is not
Yes.
ordinary.
Yeah.
But what we all call normal from the conditioned self. Okay, let's put
Mm-hmm.
it that way. From the conditioned self, what we call normal. I have been that normal person, right? Chasing for work, chasing for bonuses, or chasing for pay rise, right? And when I have my business, chasing for more clients and everything. And the stress about what's going to happen in that meeting, the stress about, the insecurities, the fears, the
Yeah.
anxieties, and I've experienced it all. And when I had the tuberculosis, it was a moment I didn't know. I mean, I was told by the doctors that you're going to be fine, just take these medicines.
Yeah.
But that one, big thing, like a really significant event,
Yeah.
changed everything. And now, from that Pratik to this Pratik, who sees every moment as the beautiful moment of life. It's more experience than life. It's experience than feeling happy. It's
Hmm.
experience than feeling sad. And it doesn't make you inhuman. It doesn't make you leave everything. It doesn't teach you, to escape the reality. It asks you to experience the reality and not
Yeah.
label it, because
Yeah.
label is something we learned. Like, I come from Gujarat, India, and
Okay.
my family has been vegetarian. So for
Hmm.
me, meat is really bad. When I came to London, I worked in Indian restaurant, and every single person, or maybe 95% people,
Yeah.
ate meat.
Yeah.
But it didn't make them, bad people, or it wasn't a bad thing for them to eat meat. So this good and bad is something we were taught. So there is no
Yeah.
good and bad. So, eating vegetarian is an experience, and eating meat is an experience. And what you feel internally that this is what you want to consume, then just go for it.
Mm.
So, there is something there. If somebody has been searching, like I have searched for this experience, but I didn't know what I was even looking for. I was trying to get away from what I was feeling and experiencing. And if there is someone out there, I'm my experience, my journey is there. And, with pure, like soul to soul, obligation kind of thing, that, there's something there. And I really wish and hope that, even if this book changes one person's life, it's worth every single moment I spent writing and talking about
Absolutely.
that book.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope it reaches a lot of people. Yeah. I don't
Yes.
know why this came to me, but so in India, the cow is sacred, correct? Yeah. And I had this thought the other day. I'm thinking, okay, way back when, I mean, how did the cow become sacred? Is there any history to that? Do you know?
Um, okay. Now I'll make this disclaimer. Okay.
Okay.
What I've written in my book, and what I am teaching in my 3 day practice, the experience,
Yeah.
is my experience. But there is a lot of things which is my knowledge, which I somewhere agree to, but
Hmm.
it's not something I've experienced. But what they say from spiritual perspective and how the scriptures talk about is, we started our life as an amoeba, and then we went through different creatures, and our soul gets evolved, and in the end we become human.
Yeah.
And as a human, you start looking inward and find your true self and see where you came from, right? That's the whole process. And they say cow is one of the more evolved soul. It's very close to the human's life, and that's what I have come across as a knowledge, because
Okay.
I haven't seen me myself being cow in my past life, so I cannot, and I'll make it clear.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense, and that was a reason cow is being believed sacred.
Okay.
You know,
I just
the
had this
scripture
thought come
says,
to me. I was
no,
thinking,
no, no, it's completely fine. And what I
I mean,
was told is that the certain gods reside in cow. Now, the way I see it is different gods are different portals of energy, like the
yeah,
seven chakras. The
yeah.
seven chakras are kind of associated with the Mahavidyas. I don't know if you've come across,
Hmm.
the Durga and Matangi, and there are different goddesses. They
Yes.
represent seven chakras. They're all energy portals, and if you chant their mantras,
Hmm.
it opens those chakras with the frequency of the voice. So it's not a person, it's the energy which you
Yes.
are aligning. It's like you are tuning your radio by chanting that name,
Hmm.
100,000 times,
Yep.
and you tune with that. And if it's a root chakra you're trying to tune, you will have a good, money and things to feel secure. You will have right people around you for you to experience the security. When you go one layer up, the sacral chakra, it's about creativity.
Hmm.
So when you tune your, frequency to that chakra, you
Yeah.
suddenly start to interpret things which, you couldn't do before, like me writing the book, something like that. A singer, musicians or the composers, and they come up with amazing music because they have tuned, knowingly or unknowingly, with that particular chakra is activated.
Sure. Sure. Anyway, getting back to my thoughts of the cow being sacred, I was thinking thousands and thousands of years ago. I mean, I can imagine somebody realizing these mushrooms are growing under the cow dung, and
Hmm.
then eating these mushrooms grown under the cow dung, which are probably psychedelic
Hmm.
mushrooms, having these amazing psychedelic trips, becoming one with the divine through it, and then going, wow, that cow's sacred.
Yeah. um, Talking about psychedelic, I actually went to Peru as part of my journey, and
Okay.
I did San Pedro, um, and I mean, you just said what I experienced in one word, like
Mm.
becoming the one with the true self.
Yeah.
And as I said, in everything, I didn't know how to interpret that. I didn't know, how to word what I felt in that.
Mhm.
Um, but then, when I realized the unconditioned self, the real me, which I've, phrase it,
Yeah.
um, it gives answers to all of it.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
I think
remember.
everything is there for us to feel that, which is always watching what we do, what we think, what we speak, what we experience. That is, to me, is the real me. Everything else is learned. So what is learned cannot be you, right?
Right. Right.
So that is
Yeah.
my understanding, and more than understanding, that's my experience.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It worked. It gave me 24/7 the happiness or the joy or the bliss. Now, whether it can be proven or not, who cares, right?
Right.
Because that is my experience.
Yeah.
Now, the experience doesn't need proof. The
Right.
theory needs proof because it
Right.
needs to convince someone, but experience, it's there.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I find that like when we talk about the true nature, I mean, you have this dichotomy or this oh, what's the word? The D word that I want to use here, where you have differences of everything. You know, happiness,
Yes,
sadness,
yes,
the
yes,
duality, the duality. You
yes,
know, it's like the true self. With the true self, there is no duality. You know, you
absolutely.
experience the duality through your true self, but
Yes,
the duality is not affected by your true self. It's like totally separate.
absolutely, absolutely. It's very interesting you said that, because when I started meditating, I
Mhm.
always felt I had to reach somewhere, I had to be somewhere.
Yeah,
It's just that, because these are internal, your own personal experiences, it's really hard to interpret them and guide someone how it feels like to be in a meditative state.
yeah,
So how you say it is what it is not. So, like, you wouldn't be thinking, but then when you stop having the thoughts, you don't know what to really catch there, right?
yeah,
So um, I think when we are in that meditative state, our emotions are neutral, the energy is neutral. And the way, I learned about this when I read a book about the feminine and masculine, right?
uh-huh,
And it said that the nature of God or the cosmic energy is neutral. And in order to create the physical reality, the positive and negative came out of that neutral energy.
mm-hmm,
And the polarity between the two has created the physical world.
yeah,
So there is not too much good and too much bad. Good and bad, or positive and negative, are in equal amount.
mm-hmm,
It is how what you're choosing to experience.
yes,
And the more they start becoming neutral to you, the closer you're getting to that true energy, which is neutral.
yes, yeah. Well said. Well said. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
can take that all the way down to the atomic level, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
protons,
Absolutely.
neutrons, and electrons.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And in scriptures they call Shiva and Brahma and
yeah,
Vishnu.
yeah,
And that's how they were defined, because there was no science back then. There was no education system back then. So
mm-hmm,
the rishis, or the people who wrote the scriptures, they had to create this in a metaphoric story or the
yes,
languages. And that's how all these names and god and goddesses were created,
right.
to reference it.
Yeah. And how many years ago were the rishis written? Like five?
Well, there is no exact evidence, but they say over 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I
And
thought.
what was fascinating for me is it wasn't by one person, but one of the podcasts I listened, and they said, 10,000 years ago, when humans learned to farm and grow the food for themselves, and that's when they started settling down. They didn't
Yeah,
have to travel for food and safety, and that's the time they started to think who they are.
yeah,
And because at that time there was not much to think, because they literally just learned to think, right?
yeah.
So it was easy for them to be in a meditative state, and in their meditative state, whatever they received about
Hmm.
the universe, whether the earth is being round and the sun and the planets are kind of spinning around each other, around the sun and in the orbit. The science has been proving after this many thousands of years, but how can someone tell from that? So it was all there, but there was no writing invented at that time. So they used to, they made like a song version. So that's why Sanskrit is all the shlokas which people sing. When you sing, it's easy to remember and memorize, and they passed on that knowledge through generation to generation. So it wasn't one person, it's group of people, and cumulative experiences of them became the scriptures. And then when they started to write, they used to write on clay plates, and then they started writing on copper plates, and then finally the ink and pen and paper. But then they say about 5,000 or plus years. And I'm like, you know what, even if it was 100 years ago, how does it add value to me now? I think that's more important, right? It could be written last night or 10,000 years ago. And the funny thing is, like my very first book I read was Think and Grow Rich, which was about, which was
one
in
of my
2017.
favorites. We have so many similarities. This is incredible.
And someone said, Pratik, if you start your own business, if you're going to advise your clients, this is a must-read book. So I ordered it the same day. I finished in 4 days, and it changed me. Right? It literally changed the way I saw the life. And that book was published way before I was born. But it came to me in 2017 when I was 32, 33 years old. And I was like, why it took me all these years to get to this book?
You weren't
ready.
Then
it's my frequency, right? It's me being ready. I mean, this autobiography, Yogi, I had it on my shelf for about 2 years, and I had forgotten about it. And then one day a friend of mine asked for it. I said, do you have this book? And I'm like, yeah. And that that created interest in me. Like, why did he ask? Let me see what's in there. And then he came and he took the book, but then he also found one audiobook in Hindi. So I listened to that book in Hindi. And that changed me. And then I told myself, like, this was there for 2 years and I didn't touch that book. Why did I listen to it now? But in those 2 years, I was listening to Sadhguru, I listened to quantum mechanics and a lot of other things. So I was prepared. I was being prepared to understand what was in that book. Because otherwise it would be just some words without any meaning or without any resonance to it, right? So, it's so clever and so beautiful when you realize how things really flow around you and how you change your reality. What is the meaning of changing reality when you try to manifest something? Because it's not you being in the same place and everything changes around you. No, you will shift. And the shifting isn't easy. It's painful. It's hurtful. It's a lot of things. It's like the water doesn't become steam straight away. It has to be boiled 100 degrees to change its form. And changing reality is like that. So are we ready for that? Are you ready to let go of everything you can call yours or you? Are you ready to forget? Like, the seed destroys its existence as seed in order to become tree. Are you ready to destroy it? Are you ready to surrender? I think surrender is more simpler word, right? And I think I was at stage in my life where I had no choice than just surrendering. And the moment I surrendered, this realization took place, and everything changed from that moment.
Beautiful. I'm so glad it's changed for you.
Thank you.
How do our listeners get a hold of you?
So there is a website called pratiqkjaani.com. It's PRATIQKJAANI.com. There is the other website for 3-day experience, which is Dhrastimethod.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I am on LinkedIn. There is an email address. So, if the reader reads the book and they have their personalized event, which they cannot apply the book to, and if they want to discuss it, they can drop an email and I will do my best to get back to them with the answer.
All right. Sounds great. Hey, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Jim.
I feel like I have a soul brother now. We're so...
Likewise.